Hey guys, what's up? It's your girl, Dr. Cooper, and I am live on the Dialogue platform tonight. Listen, we're not going to be long with you, only because one of my esteemed co-hosts is he has a life now, y'all. So, and we're gonna let him live his best life. So we're gonna keep it short, sweet, and simple tonight. It's me and Dr. J. We are praying that Pastor Greg, our friend Greg, can join us. If not, we understand because he's already said he's a bit busy. And so tonight, it's gonna be simple. Remember, tag, share, and invite. This is the dialogue, the platform, how he feels, how she feels. We've been going at this. Oh my God, for how many? I don't even know how many months. Let me invite my co-host. Dr. J, you always on the move. How you doing?
Good. How are you? Always on the move. I'm getting ready to park
Always
though.
on the move. Always on the move. Hey, so listen, what's so funny is that when I was calling our buddy, I trying to make sure that I gotta make this public. You know how I am about stuff, and I if I don't make it public, it won't go public.
Right.
So you got to be able to tag, share, and invite. So I was sharing with the people, our friend, our brother, he has a life now,
Right.
and he's living his best life, and we're happy for him. But anyway, besides all of that, tag, share, and invite somebody. It's going to be short and simple. And we're not going to be long with you because it's Saturday. It's a beautiful day here in Sacramento. How's the weather there with you in Southern California, Dr. J?
Oh, it's really nice. It's like 75.
75. So what are you preparing for? Are you preparing food for tonight? What are you doing? You meal prepping?
No, not tonight. I'm actually headed to a prayer service. Um, and I've been running all day doing stuff. So, okay, now I'm parked. But no food today.
All
Next
right,
week
all
I'll
right,
be back at it.
all right, all right. Well, I love your lipstick. It's gorgeous.
Thank you. It's my favorite shade.
Looks good
I
on
love
you.
me a good red. Thank you.
And I love me a good red and a good pink. I'm popping this pink today with this green hat. So
Yeah, cute.
before we go any further, I want to give a big shout out to my friend, my mentor, my colleague, Prophetess Carolyn Colin Finley. We did her virtual book signing today. It went extremely well, and I'm so excited for her. If you have not picked up her book, I'm gonna post it on here. I know it's unorthodox. This is her book. Go pick it up. Inside Out. Prophetess Carolyn Cohen Finley. Collection of poems, tales, and reflections. You know we love us a good book, Dr. J. So
Yeah,
go pick that
I'll
up.
get it for sure.
Um, anyway, today, the dialogue, our conversation. Um, I want to first give honor to God, and I thank Him for just allowing me to have this platform, to have both of you guys to come on um, tirelessly with me month after month, sharing information, bouncing off ideas and opinions, and coming from a healthy, Christ like behavior pattern and mentality. We're not perfect people, but we do try to represent the kingdom in an honorable way. So thank you, sis, for that. And so, anyway, let's get into it. So, the dialogue. Greg said he was going to try to join us, but he has a life, as I stated before. He's out on his date. So, and I said date. He's out on his date, and I'm so happy for him. And maybe one day we'll be out on one too, and we can't join either. Did you just look
Right.
off at the face? Did you just look off and just
No,
say,
I looked off because I'm parked in this lot and I thought this man was gonna hit my car. He was backing up and I was looking like, but no, we're good.
all right, all right, all right. So y'all tag, share, and invite. We're gonna keep it short and sweet today. Some of the topics that I want to talk about tonight are healthy boundaries, knowing when to walk away, when enough is enough, and disrespect. I can
Mm.
do a lot of things, but I can't do disrespect. I can do a lot of things, but I can't do hidden below the belt with words because they rest on you. They rest in your spirit. And they make a stain on your mind. It's almost like you want to think positive things, you want to speak positive words, but when somebody says something negative to you about you, it's almost like a Debbie Downer each time you talk to that person. And this is in the beginning stages of a relationship. So tell me, Dr. J, hey, Terrace, my sister, she's always posting me, and recommended me for hair. I'm so excited for her. Anyway, how do you feel about that, Dr. J? Like, when do you know when to walk away? What's the cutoff? Because when the boundaries have been crossed, and if there are none set up.
Well, first, it would depend on when you set the boundaries. I know a mistake that I've made in the past is not speaking up for myself and then setting the boundaries after they've already been broken. So, a boundary conversation is something that needs to happen early on. If you decide you're going to be with a person, y'all are going to try in a relationship, at that point is when you should be talking about these are my boundaries, these are my deal breakers. Some people don't want to have that conversation, especially if they've been alone for a long time, or single, if you want to just call it that. People don't like the word alone. Um, so they don't want to have that conversation because they feel like, oh my gosh, I just got with this person, it's going to run them off. But if you don't set those things up in advance, then you set yourself up for disappointment. So that's the first part of it. And the second part is, um, really, there's no timeline, only but don't sit and suffer for the sake of just being in a relationship either. For some people, it might be as soon as the boundary's broken, I'm done, I'm out. For others, you know, there's some people that take it for 5, 10, 20 years. I wouldn't recommend that either because ultimately you want to always be in a healthy mental state of mind. But when it gets to that point where those boundaries are broken, there needs to be a conversation then to say, and we have to be careful with the conversation too, right? Because we don't want to be like, you did this to me. But it's okay to say, so this happened and this is how it made me feel. And this is what I would like to see improve. Now, if that person is open to hear you and there's some forward movement, some progress, then okay, you stay. But if that person is immediately defensive, they don't want to hear you, they will not hear you, then you have your answer. Like I always say, sometimes the handwriting is on the wall, but we choose not to read it. So once that handwriting is on there, it's up to you to either keep walking past it or to read it and do what you will with it.
Yeah, I found that if you don't set the boundaries in the beginning, like what are your okays, or what are you okay with, what is not okay. Um, if you don't say anything, I have often found, and this is my experience, if I don't say nothing, they'll try to get away with a whole lot of foolishness. And it's kind of like you men think that they testing you, but honestly, sometimes you're looking at them to see how much are you going to do before I have to say something. And I'm a firm believer because I have 3 sons, and they're all grown. And I always wanted to make the impression that, because I ask most of the time, like, who was your mother? Like, who raised you? Like, where did you get these bad behavior patterns that to how you speak to a woman? And then there's vice versa. Like, who are you? Who raised you? What kind of man was in your life that made you disrespect that man like that? So oftentimes, if you don't set the healthy boundaries in the beginning, people will handle you any kind of way. They will talk to you any kind of way. Now let me park right there. It ain't just a male and female relationship like dating. It's also in ministry. It is in
Mhm.
business. It is just
Mhm.
your neighbor who you live next to. It ain't a slap your neighbor high five and tell them about themselves. It is literally, if you let people handle you any kind of way, to keep letting stuff slide, keep letting stuff pass, giving them the benefit of the doubt, loving your neighbor as you love yourself kind of mentality. They will push the envelope till finally you're at your breaking point, and it's like, no, no, sir, no, ma'am. You can't talk to me like
Mhm.
that. You can't handle me like that. Watch. It's not, and sometimes it's not even what you say, it's how you say it, and then the tone you said it in. So I put it to you like
Right.
this. Um, Now I'm just playing with my brother, and I was like, hey, bro. So, You too busy for us now, huh? You on a date. You got you somebody now. Now I'm playing with him, right? But what if I said it like this? So you too busy now? You ain't got you a date now. Now
Right.
you can't, you can't be on the phone. You can't be on the live with us. See, the tone in and of itself is offensive. But now because
Mhm.
I'm like, hey, bro, you ain't got you somebody now. You on a date. You can't kick it with us no more. Okay. I'm playing. I'm laughing.
Right.
I'm your sister. I'm joking. So here, flip that. In a relationship, when you're getting to know somebody, you don't know them. You don't know their triggers. You don't know their trauma. And even though we expect for people to be totally healed, people do have triggers. People have these familiar things that if you say something to them the wrong way, it was the tone you said it and it was how you said it. And it triggered an emotion that causes them to respond a certain type of way. Am I correct?
Right.
Do you agree?
Mhm.
Like, okay,
Absolutely.
if I tell you, oh, so you just gonna sit in your car and you're gonna do the live in your car, so you couldn't get nowhere apart, you're gonna be like, girl, I got a whole life and I'm doing you a favor. But if I say, since you out there, you out about, you get it done, you always on the move. See, it's not so offensive. And it was the way that I said it because I'm joking with you and I love you. But if you don't know someone and you getting to know someone, that's not you cannot use sarcasm and think that it's okay. I hope I'm saying this correctly. If you're sarcastic all the time, and I don't know that you're sarcastic all the time, that's just who you are. First of all, that might be okay for others. It's not okay for me.
Right.
Secondly, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Thirdly, and it's the tone that you said it in. All right, drop the mic. That's that part. So, as I was preparing for tonight, and I think we touch on everything. And sometimes because the boundaries are crossed that you didn't put out there in the beginning, and the red flags have been waved, the white flags have been waved, and so now you're like, what? I don't know if I can deal with this. When do you think it's time to make the decision to walk away, Dr. J?
I think it's when you get to that point and you say, I don't know if I can deal with this. If you're asking yourself that question, then you have the answer. You might not want that answer, but you have the answer. And so at that point, there needs to be a more serious conversation that this is where I am. I cannot deal. And if you really truly love a person or if you see a future with that person, then it should be a dialogue, not a monologue. And they may say, okay, well, this is what I'm willing to do. Or they may say, I think you're right. Because, sometimes we're so concerned about our boundaries and our feelings that we don't always consider the other person and where they are. Maybe they're violating the boundaries because they're done too, but nobody's having the conversation that needs to be had.
Yeah. Yeah.
Reciprocation is everything, and it's not only for good things. Reciprocation is reciprocation. The law of sowing and reaping is universal. So whatever you get in is what you put out. I know for me, if I feel like my trust or my boundaries have been violated, I get silent. I mean, radio silent. I'm not going to say much. I'm not going to do much. Like I go into defense mode. The walls go up. And the door gets locked.
Hmm.
And that's not healthy. So I had to realize that was a toxic trait of mine, and I had to learn how to speak up for myself. But there's a lot of people that are like that go into like defense or protect me mode. And so what you put into it is exactly what you're going to get out. If you're not putting anything into it, but you're steadily hollering that your boundaries are being broken, well, guess what? That person may be feeling the same way, and they may not be putting anything into it either because again, reciprocation. I'm reaping exactly what I've been sowing. But when you get to that point and you're like, I don't know if I can do it, or you find yourself saying, I can't do this anymore, you have your answer. And like I said earlier, sometimes we are so afraid of being alone again. We don't want to be alone. Or I've spent so much time with this person, and now that I put all this time in, oh my God, what do I do? I don't want to start over. But at what cost, though? Do
Right.
you want to stay in a toxic situation? Do you want to be unhappy just for the sake of saying, "Oh my gosh, I have somebody," or do you want to be happy? Do you want to have joy? Do you want to have peace? Peace is absolute. That's the word just escaped me. But the peace is an absolute. Like you have to have peace. If you don't have peace in a relationship, you don't have anything at all.
I,
Because
I,
that peace is the catalyst to trust and to everything else.
hmm hmm It is. I find that a lot of times we always, if we haven't done the work to heal, you'll keep attracting the same type of person
Hmm.
simply because it's what you've tolerated in the past. So that becomes familiar. The dysfunction becomes familiar. And
Hmm.
then you forget. Then when you're all flustered, you forget that you did not, you did not confront it, you did not deal with it, you didn't deal with yourself. And so now the
Right.
peace is disturbed. But that's, and I'm always like this, I didn't ask God for that. That ain't what, that's why this don't look like what I asked God for. So if this don't look like what I asked God for, I know sometimes God won't give you exactly what it, you do have to work on you, because sometimes he'll put people in your place and it's like, I need you to look at you. I need you to study
Hmm.
you. I need you to study you to see how you're going to respond to the conflict. Because you say you want a wife, you say you want a husband, but you don't even know how to effectively problem solve. You can't effectively communicate. Your peace is disturbed because there was no inner peace in you in the first place. Oftentimes, I feel like sometimes people just look for ways. I made a post earlier. When people study you long enough, and they don't have no peace within inside themselves, they'll study you long enough to try to, and they'll figure you out. And then when they figure out what makes you tick, your triggers, what makes you happy, what sets you off, like set it off, what's gonna set you off, what's making you smile. They'll get in there. They'll make they get to your vulnerabilities, and before you know it, you've let your guard down. And now here comes the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde mentality. It's like, okay, so everything that you did prior to that, everything that you did prior to that to win my attention, and this is with men too. I mean, because women can appear to be one way, and I miss my brother. Big women can appear to be one way one day, and you get to know them, and finally, um, there she go, there she go, Miss Moody Mood, uh, uh, sarcastic Sally, uh, belittling Betty. Well, uh, drop a dime on you, dummy. Do drop a dime on you, Denise, or whatever. I'm sorry, y'all, but still, there's always these personality traits that we encounter when we get to know people. Sometimes when you skip past the red flag, like I said, the white flag, the peace flag, the red flag, stop, don't pass, go. You always get yourself into these situations where it's like, well, why did I get here? Like, what happened? Because number one, you didn't set the boundaries. Number two, you let your peace be disturbed. Number three, you didn't effectively communicate. And number four, you even though you know it ain't what it don't, it's not what it appears to be. It ain't what you ask God for. She'll be back. She's having technical difficulties. It's not what you ask God for. It doesn't look like it. Don't sound like it. Because we always say in the church, we looking for a sound. God's looking for a sound. It don't even sound like what you asked for. And so you find yourself in these complicated relationships with people, and before you know it, you're like, God, get me out of this. Well, did I ever tell you to get into it?
Hmm.
Did I even tell you to get into it? To see, what you did was you got you some attention. It made you feel good. It tickled your emotions. It tickled your carnality. And now you caught up in a mess
You
and
got your
asking
reward. You
God to
got
get
what you
you out
wanted.
of it. Huh?
Hmm. So you got your reward. You got what you wanted. That's how it was with my marriage. God helped me get me out of this mess. He's like, I ain't never told you to get in it. Because I knew not to marry him, but I did, and I paid for it. He's like, I didn't tell you to get in it, but okay.
hmm 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 I remember being in my speaking of marriage, I remember being in my first unauthorized marriage. I didn't get the stamp of approval. I just knew in my mind I was walking in my call at the time. I was a praise dancer and I was in a church and I didn't want to be shacking up. I said I wanted to do things right. And when I tell you I was religious, I was highly religious. So it was like, don't stop, don't pass go. We ain't doing this. And now, mind you, the foolish part about it was that we were doing it. How much of a hypocrite was I? But I said I can't go any further like this. And I put the pressure on. And so when I put the pressure on, he said, yeah. I mean, well, I didn't even ask him. He did ask me to marry him. But I'm saying this to say I didn't have an opportunity to know this person, as Bishop Wordlaw would say, in all seasons. Even Bishop Willis says that in all seasons, you got to know people in their good seasons, in their celebratory seasons, in their fallen seasons, in their disappointment seasons, their conflicts or family season. I don't like my job season. I lost my money season. I mean, there are seasons in people's lives. And when you don't know nobody, man, let me tell you something. You'll find yourself in a world of trouble. So here I was in my first marriage, and I was just like, this ain't what I asked God for. This is not what I dreamed about. This is not what I prayed for. This is not what I journaled about. This looks nothing like what I asked God for. In other words, it's like the scripture says, you have a form of godliness, but you deny the power thereof. And so, and I know I'm using that in the right context. You have a form of godliness. You look like my husband. You even trying to treat me halfway like a husband's supposed to treat a wife. But you were not ready for the responsibility of the woman that I was and becoming, of the responsibility of carrying me, praying for me, and leading me. I don't want to lead no man. I got 3 men that I bore that I have to lead. Why do I need to marry one that I have to lead all the time too? So in my immaturity, I got what I asked for. I asked for a husband. That's what I got. Now, did I ask for the qualities and attributes to go along with that word entitled? Was nothing. Now, mind you, no shade. We are really good friends to this day. We really are. Good friends. I can call if I need something. That man's my friend. I know that. But at the end of the day, we weren't ready for each other, and we were not equally yoked. Be clear on that. We had nothing really in common. Nothing. Go ahead, Dr. J.
No, you actually said it right after. Sometimes we ask God in part, and it's not because He doesn't know what we need, but we'll ask for a husband, or a man will ask for a wife, and not be specific in the things that they want or need. And actually, even if we don't ask God for exactly what we want or need, we see qualities in people that we don't like, and we choose to overlook it for the sake of having the marriage or having that person. But it's so important when you see those qualities before you walk down the aisle. Those things have to be addressed, because marriage is not a solution to anything. Marriage is going to exacerbate whatever you see that's there, whatever trait that you're like, I don't know if I can live with that forever, but I'll go ahead and marry him and change. No. The only person that can change a person is God. A person can choose to change, for themselves, but you can't change anyone. And so you do a disservice to yourself and even to marriage to feel like you're going to get into it and then mold and make this person into something that you want them to be. That is a recipe for disaster right there in itself.
Right.
But sometimes we're just so quick to be like, oh, okay, somebody wants to marry me, cool. And don't let the man come and say, God said you're my husband. Oh God. That is like, it's a tired pickup line at this point. I don't want to hear another person say that God said you're my wife. Been there, heard it. Got the bumper sticker, the T-shirt, matching hat, and a key ring. I don't want to hear it.
Look,
at this point, it's a poor pickup line. Right. So when you see those character traits, you got to deal with that stuff right at the beginning. Don't go jumping into the relationship like, oh, it's going to get better. Sis, it's not. Bro, it's not. What you see is exactly what you get.
You You know, one of the things
Don't
that's
be
so
so
funny.
quick to get married.
Wait, well, here's the thing. There's nothing. Let's not shoot the whole the idea of marriage down. Let's not shoot it and throw. Let's not throw the
Mhm.
baby out with the bathwater. Listen, marriage is a beautiful thing when it's
Wonderful.
done right. Hey, D,
Absolutely.
marriage is a beautiful thing when it's done
Mhm.
correctly. Um, what I want to say is that in the church, here's the problem. The misconception in the church is that when you find somebody and you think you got something compatible. What's the compatibility, Dr. J? Because we love God, because we serve
Right.
in church together. But baby, listen, the fundamentals, the lifestyle, and the personalities got to match too. The ideologies, the standards, the quality of life you want to live, all that got to match too. If you're going to stay in church and praise God all day, every day, because when you go outside, you go home, you got to deal with Jay, not Dr. J. You got to deal with Jay. When you go
Right.
home, you got to deal with Connie, not Constance, not Dr. You'll deal with Connie. Seriously. Connie's at home. You come home to Connie. And Connie's from Richmond. And sometimes, she might want to be Dr. Cooper. She might want to be, but she's not going to be all the time. And Dr. J is not going to be Dr. J all the time. She's going to be
Right.
J. She might be Jatendra. And in all those names encompass a different um, layer of our personality. Do you understand what I'm saying? Are you guys following
Mhm.
me? We got a question. How do you deal with individuals who don't want to hear the truth about their actions, how they made you feel, or the negative, untruthful behavior? Oh boy. Thank you, D. A red flag is a red flag. Listen, let's talk about that. Let's unpack that question. I'm gonna put that right back up there. Let's deal with that. Let's unpack that. Let me tell you something. Nobody wants to be held accountable.
Mhm.
They want to tell you everything that's wrong with you. Mhm. But when you turn around and tell them what's wrong with them, huh, baby, they don't want to know the truth. But the scripture says you will know the truth and truth will make you free. They don't want to be free. They want to be bound up in their dysfunction. They want to stay in that comfortable place of not having to change because it works for me. Well, no, it doesn't work for you, baby girl. It doesn't work for you, baby boy. Because if it works for you, why are you not in a relationship right now? Why I always say Connie is the common denominator in all her relationships. I got to go back and get with God about what I did, what I said. I find that, and anytime you want to tag in, you can jump in, but I'm going to finish this thought, okay? I find that anytime a person does not have enough humility to apologize and own their mess, they're passive aggressive. And I know everybody getting tired of this word, but they're a little bit narcissistic. Because if it's something wrong with me all the time, and ain't nothing wrong with you, then I didn't know perfect people lived on this side of heaven. Because you perfect, you know, you ain't did nothing wrong. Um, everything you do is right. You walk on streets of gold. Your house got diamonds in it. You drink out of ruby engraved ruby and crafted glasses and goblets, gold goblets. You doing all
Mhm.
of that. You doing it big, brother. When you tell somebody, okay, let me go back. I'm gonna slow down because my thoughts are moving faster. So I want to say this. Oftentimes, when you tell a person about your why you responded the way that you did, because every action causes a reaction. I just said that in the beginning. If you turn into somebody different than who you were in the beginning, and I call you to the carpet on it and say you changed, you don't have a right to turn around and tell me you changed. Did you see how you was talking to me? And I'm gonna say, well, what did you say to me to cause me to answer you like that? To respond to you that way. It was something that you said to me to cause me to respond to you in that type of way. So if I tell you that when you said this to me, it made me feel like this, you don't have a right to tell me that my feelings are valid. You don't. If you tell me, Dr. J, the Connie, when you said this to me, this made me feel like this. I do not have a right to tell you that your feelings are not valid. You know what I have a right to do? own it and apologize, because that's your feelings and they matter. And if I love you enough, I'll fix it. If I value the relationship enough, I'll fix it, because I'll fix me before I try to fix you. Now you tell me what you think, sis.
So well, first, the question started with how do you deal? If you're married, it's a different conversation than if you're in a relationship where you're considering marriage. If you're married, that's a whole nother ball game because there's obviously some deeper conversations that need to be had, perhaps some counseling or something, somebody that's unbiased that can help you both deal with wherever the breakdown in communication is. If it's a relationship and you're considering marriage, how do you deal? You don't. And what I mean by you don't is you set that boundary and you say, this is what I can deal with, this is what I can't. If that person is not willing to listen and is not willing to make the changes, then the conversation doesn't any longer need to be had with them. It needs to be had with you. Is this something that I am willing to continue to deal with? Is this an argument or a conversation that I want to continue having? Is this something that I can keep facing all the time? That's when that conversation needs to be had with yourself as far as how long you're willing to deal with it. When a person is not accountable and dismissive of your feelings, they are giving you the answer. Then I don't want to go too deep into it, but why are they doing those types of actions? Why are they communicating that way? Why? Because often people have some deep-rooted stuff and people get in relationships unhealed. I know for sure that I got in a relationship after my marriage not healed. Hurt people hurt people. So what type of person are you dealing with? I'm going to tell you something that my therapist said to me, and I went, oh my gosh, that makes sense. I didn't initially like it when she said it, but I totally got it. She said, Jay, you've got the shoulds. You've got the should it. And I went, the what? And she's like, you've got the shoulds. I'm like, what in the world is the shoulds? And she's like, you have to stop looking at people by what they should do. They should respond to you. They should communicate well. They should tell you that they love
I
you.
like that.
They should be accountable, but you're not them. So I don't get to choose how you respond to me. I don't get to choose how you communicate with me. None of that, because that's you and you're your own individual person. What I do get to choose is how I react to it. I get to choose if I'm willing to deal with it. So she said, you've got to change your thinking from they should be doing XYZ to I would prefer if they did XYZ. When I change my communication or my thought process to I would prefer, I stop getting so angry because they're not doing things the way that I want or the way that I expect. Then the boundary, it's on me. Like I just stated, is it something that I'm willing to continue to deal with? Because now I'm looking at it differently. I would prefer if you communicated with me this way, and I would prefer if you loved me and you listened and you were accountable. If they're not, well, now what would you prefer? Do you prefer to continue to deal with it? Or would you prefer that, you know what, I think our time is up, no love lost? See, we have to learn how to separate without creating enemies. And people don't often know how to do that. We will hold on to something for so long that you think the person's toxic, but that toxicity, that's in you too. We hold on to things till it's falling apart. You ever seen an iPhone charger? It's all frayed, the wires are all exposed, and you still plugging it into your phone and trying to make it work and charge your phone. And you might get a charger, you might not. And then you find yourself complaining, I can't believe this old raggedy charger didn't charge my phone. Guess what? That's how some of our relationships were. Just as raggedy, wires all exposed, everything. And you irritated because you're not getting what you need to get out of it when what you need to do is change the doggone charger.
Change the
So
charger.
we've got to stop doing the same thing over and over again. What's the meaning of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
Exactly.
That change that you're praying for in them and what you want them to do, sometimes that change needs to be you, sis. It needs to be you, bro. Stop looking at everybody else and all the outside and think, how am I contributing to this? And what can I do to change me? Because if I change me and make me a better person, I'm going to have the answer I need, whether I choose to deal or not.
Well, yeah, you got to go
Right, that's
back.
a whole word, Tara. I'm gonna preach that. Change the charger, and y'all gonna act like y'all didn't hear it.
No, we act like we don't know where she got that from. Listen, change no. So listen, while she was putting that up there, I was thinking, who are you connected to? Where is
Listen.
your
And
power
how are you
source?
connected? Because if
Yeah.
you're not getting the power and the love and the communication you need, check the source. Because how are y'all even connected? The connection might have been jacked up to begin with. It could have been frayed to begin with. But you wanted somebody, so you got exactly what you wanted. You wanted a man, you got you a man. You got a piece of one, but you got you a man. So you got to be specific, and those boundaries have to be solid. Can't just be taking whatever and then being like, it'll get better. No, sis, it's not gonna get better. It's gonna be just as broken as it started, is what it's gonna be, and you're gonna be ticked off.
Well, I just got chill. Cause
Remember,
listen,
I just remember Color Purple when she slapped the old girl. He was like, time to go. He closed the organ.
wait, listen. Oh wait, this is what this is what I really want to. This is what I really want to tap into. So when you said the part about who, wait, change the charger, and then I say who you connected to. So listen. Go back to the beginning when we first started to answer Tira's question, and the question was about what do you do about the negative response to you telling somebody how you feel. You know the question is back in there. It's back in the
Yeah.
comments. So listen. Oftentimes, like I said, in the body of Christ and in the church, we trauma connect,
Oh,
trauma bond.
absolutely. Mhm.
And so, you had two broken people coming together. You start sharing familiar stories. I've been divorced. You've been divorced, me too. Oh, my husband was a dog. My wife was a mess. Okay. Uh, trauma bond. Uh, you want to get together? Yeah. See, but what they don't tell you is what they did in the relationship to cause the divorce. Let me tell you what I did. Can I tell you what I did, Dr. J? Let me tell you what I did.
Mhm.
I married people who I didn't know. I became defensive. I was still broken from the previous relationship. I never got healed. And when I saw the disrespect, that's when little old Connie Cooper, the fighter from 15th Street, shows up and then she starts to talk crap and emasculate the man and talk crazy to him. I know what I did. I did not know how to effectively communicate. I know I did some disrespect. I know I dishonored. I know that I was fed up, sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I did not know how to express it without anger. I did not know to go to stop and pray and go and get some therapy, try to fix. And I can honestly tell you, I did want to try to fix that secondary. But at the end of the day, it's like after I had done all of what I had done to that man, and then I was mean. No sex, none of that. We ain't doing none of that. Um, just mean and unsurly. I was. And I know now.
Mhm.
Scripture says, when I was a child, I spoke as a child, I reasoned as a child. I talked like a child. I fought like a child. I dishonored like a child, like a teenager, if that makes sense. But when I became older, when I became a woman, when I matured, when I became a better person overall, when I worked on myself, when I did what was necessary, therapy, um, self introspection, um, taking time to know who I was, and listen, taking time to know my triggers is when I knew that, okay, now I know how to communicate. There's still going to be those ones that they're going to be some counterfeits. They got to come because God's got to see if you're ready for what you asked for. Because what you're asking me for is going to be exceedingly and abundantly. It's going to be better than what you asked for. But I need to know that you're going to be able to handle it and nurture it and care for it. Because just like you're asking me for somebody to nurture and care for you, I need for you to be able to nurture and care for them. So I can admit what I did wrong. Wasn't ready. But oftentimes, what ends up happening is we go into things unhealed. We got triggers. People will study you. Remember this. I hope if you don't take nothing else away from this. If they are predators, because there are people who are predators, and they're male and female. They will study you. They will learn your weak spots. They will learn you. Trust me, they will. And when they learn you, baby, they will purposely push your buttons. They will purposely hit your triggers. You know why? Because they get off on it. We ain't gonna talk about that. You want to talk about that, Dr. J? Some people purposely get off on making you mad. Some people purposely get off on messing up your day. Debbie Downer, Dirty Larry. I mean, all these things. Come on. I didn't ask for this today. You know how they say, don't come for me because I didn't send for you? Some people just come for you for no apparent reason, only because they are unhealed. And because you think you got something in common, you go to church, I go to church, you a pastor, I'm doing my thing, you a bishop, I'm doing my thing, you a psalmist, I'm doing my thing. All of these stupid things that we try to connect, and I say stupid because I mean that. All of these things that have absolutely irrelevant to who the person is in a whole. Who are you? What type of man are you? What type of woman are you? And like Lettucey said, what you gonna do? How you gonna add to me? Because if you're constantly subtracting from me and you're draining from me, then you're not adding to me. And I'm definitely not adding to you. Because you get it, you get in what you put out. I mean, you get out what you put in, rather.
That's because we give people access, though.
Yeah,
we give unauthorized access because you know people can do stuff all day, but how I choose to react to it, I gave you access, and it wasn't unauthorized. Sometimes we call people trespassers that we gave the key to. It's only a trespasser if they cross that uncharted territory and the gate was locked and the door was padlocked. But if you gave them the key, they're not a trespasser. And so you have to know the difference, and you have to know when it's time to cut it off and when it's time to evict. Now, you mentioned trauma bonds. See, where it gets shaky at is because we got people out here saying, I met my soulmate. I met my soulmate. No, baby, you met a trauma bond. You met a familiar spirit is what you met. And because you can relate, not understand, not heal, but because you can relate to one another's pain, then you call that person a soulmate. Everybody in your life is sent. It's the source that matters. God sends people and the devil does too. God causes trials and brings things to stretch us and to grow us, and the devil causes trials that will keep us from the things of God and keep us from being in right relationship with God and finding out our purpose in life. So everybody is sent. They can know what you've been through all they want. They could even have been through it. It doesn't make you a soulmate because y'all have stuff in common and you both like the color blue and you both like rom-coms. That doesn't make a person a soulmate. I will tell you what, sis, a soulmate is going to care about your soul. You're not going to have to ask him to not fornicate. You're not going to have to ask him, do you love the same God that I love and all. You're not going to have to be, he's not going to be your salvation project. You don't have to take him home and preach to him and get him saved and such. A soulmate is going to care for your very soul, not just your body, naked or clothed, not just what you like to eat, but baby, how can I make your life better? How can I see your purpose and add to it? How can I push you and I promote you to be the best version of yourself that you can be? And then when you reciprocate and you can both find that common ground and do that for one another, that's a soulmate. But somebody just understanding your pain and relating to it, that's a trauma bond. And there's a whole nother difference in that. Because you know what happens with trauma bonds is it's who can be the most toxic first. Because somebody is going to hurt somebody. Y'all going to either hurt one another, kill one another, something. You're going to continue to act out that same trauma. If it's rejection and it's abandonment, you're going to experience that same rejection and that same abandonment. And let me tell you something about rejection, and I'm trying not to go too deep with this thing, but rejection, it masks itself as acceptance. So you might have been rejected or abandoned prior, and then this person that you meet, they want to take you right in. And they want to love on you, and they want to give you everything you've ever experienced. You know why? Familiar spirit. He saw you coming, sis. He saw you coming. So he's going to bring you in. He's going to love you. He might even cook for you. He might even rub your feet. And this is not just for the sisters. This is for the bros, too. She might be everything. She might be boom, bow, bow. She might be cooking that favorite meal. She might make cornbread and peach cobbler better than your mama. But once that rejection reels you in, boom, the hammer is going to drop. Trauma bond. As soon as they feel like they've got you, got your attention, got you where you want it, boom. Why? And sometimes it's not even intentional. Sometimes people don't even realize that they're bonded by trauma. They really do truly think that they are soulmates. They do. But when you're unhealed and you're hurt, it is what it is. And those aren't cuss words. You are simply unhealed and you are hurt. And you are in need of a healing. You are in need of a healthy mind. You are in need of a savior, is what you're really in need of. And it's not that man, because he can't save you, and it's not that girl. She can't save you. You need Jesus, is what you really need.
Whoop. And there it is. And there it is.
I came in this
Now,
room to be nice and not say nothing tonight.
well, no, that's the Holy Ghost. This is the dialogue, but it is based upon our foundation, and our foundation
Right?
is Christianity. We are saved women, holy, set apart. That's
Mhm.
what we are. And when Pastor Greg is here, he is a holy man, set apart. Pastor Greg. Here's what I want to say, and then we're gonna wrap this up because it's getting late and it's getting dark outside. We're gonna get you in the house. You got to get into the prayer. Um, One of the things about coming into healthy boundaries, knowing when to leave. Um, Thank you, Tara, for joining us too. Y'all make sure y'all share this too.
Thank you,
Um,
Tara.
One of the things about knowing when to leave, and then the trauma bond. I'm saying this: do not. Once you know that you're in a trauma bond, you don't have to stay in that. It's okay to remain friends, but that don't mean you're gonna continue to date towards the end goal. Yep, you gotta have the same end goal result, period. I'm not dating nobody who want a trauma bond or seeing a man or trying to marry a man who's gonna constantly pick at me, or I'm gonna constantly pick at him because I can do it too. Let's own our
Mhm.
mess. That's unhealthy and that's toxic. And so if it becomes toxic, you got to know that it's toxic. And you got to know what caused the toxicity. And why are you staying there? Pick up your mat and walk. You can heal yourself. Pick up your bed and walk. Get away from this place. Dust, wipe the dust from your feet. They don't want you here. Love don't live here no more. It was never there. It was a trauma bond. And the healthy boundaries is what you said in the beginning. So you will know, listen, this is what I'm going to tolerate. Like Dr. J said, this is what
Yep.
I'm not going to tolerate. This is what I will put up with. This is what I will not put up with. And
Mhm.
this is what I'm willing to accept and what I'm not going to accept. All the same thing, but there are different situations, different topics, different, and there are different places in your life that you'll be. I'm trying to say another word that just escaped me. But there are totally different situations that you'll have yourself into where you'll be like, oh, I can't deal with that. Mm-mm. And I don't want to. I don't have to. Because first of all, there's no ring on this finger. Secondly, what are we doing again? Because healthy, I'm not doing dysfunctional. I've lived too many years. I'm almost 50. I will not do dysfunction. The first red flag, as my sister D said, a red flag is a red flag. Just like you said, Dr. J, get out. Who you
Mhm.
connected to, you know? And so we weren't gonna be with you long because we didn't have our brother. He ain't got the keyboard. And so
Right.
yeah, he ain't got the keyboard. He's not here to give us the male perspective. So we can't drag y'all in this for too long because we're used to having him here dragging it out. Dr. J ain't never talked this much either.
Because usually Greg does a lot of the talking. Usually by the time they come to me, I'll be like, oh, Greg said it.
And he does. He typically does. We miss you, Greg. We hope you're having a good evening, though. You and your sugar bear. What she call?
Right.
She call him sugar bear. What he call her? Uh,
I
I
don't
forgot.
know.
No, they had a little post. He made her a whole poem, honey. It's on his page. Oh, you gotta go
Okay,
read it.
poem. All right,
I'm matter
Greg.
of fact, I'm gonna pick it up, tag it in the comment. I'm gonna put it in the comments for
Yeah,
y'all.
I want to see it.
Yeah, he's a romantic, honey.
All
Yeah,
right.
everything that he talk about, he about it. So, and I'm happy for him. I'm celebrating
That's
his
awesome.
whole relationship. It's a beautiful thing to watch. And so,
That's
um,
awesome.
we're glad, we're thankful that you joined us today. If anything we said was a blessing to you, don't hesitate to sow a seed. Any seed of any amount is welcome. Me and Dr. J, hopefully we'll get our brother back next month. We couldn't let a month go by. We're all busy. I just opened a new salon.
Yay! Congrats.
Um,
Y'all send up the hearts.
yeah, send us some hearts. Send us some hearts. Send us some hearts, as they say. Send us some hearts. It's open a new salon. I send them all hearts. And God has been gracious to me. My girlfriend decided to relocate, and she left me with a whole huge blessing, and I'm grateful for that. So I've been busy, but I couldn't let the month go by without thank you, Tara. I couldn't let the month go by without getting this in. Y'all know I look forward to having these conversations with my sister and my brother, and they never tell me no. And I love them. Greg got it on it. So anyway, I am celebrating him. I can't stop talking about him because I miss him in his keyboard. But anyway, life goes on and we grow. And so thank you for joining us tonight on the dialogue. Listen, if you have any questions, if you want to talk about something different next month, drop it in the comments, drop it in our DM. We're always available. That's Dr. Tendra. Make sure you pick up her book. What is it? Dead in the Pews. Is it available on Amazon?
It is available everywhere.
All right. So wait a minute. It's available at Barnes and Nobles?
Online, yes. Uh-huh.
Is it available at Walmart.com?
It definitely is. I think it's even on Target. I feel like I think I even saw it on Target. It is everywhere. It's on Goodreads, Google Books, iBooks. It's everywhere. Amazon, Walmart. I think I did see it on Target.
So we have us a business entrepreneur here, and all of her books are available everywhere. You can find her on Facebook, on Instagram. I think she's on Twitter, and she has her own business. She does meal prep. She does dinners too, not just meal prep. She makes real dinners, real desserts, and that's my sis. We went to school together, graduated, started together, finished together. That's a good thing. I love her. That's my girl. That's my girl. That's my sister. And then you know me. I am Dr. Cooper. www.drconstancecooper.com. I am on Amazon. I am on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter. I have 9 books. I'm supposed to be finishing 10 before the end of the year. Lord say the same. You can find me on YouTube. Divinely Me 72 is my channel. I have my own channel, Divinely Me Show. It's available on the On Stage Plus platform. And come see me if you need your hair done at the Divinely Me Hair Salon in Sacramento, California. I have a page. I love you, but God loves you more. We thank you for joining us tonight. And may the Lord bless you and keep you. May He get you home safely, Dr. J. May He keep you covered. May He bless the works of your hands. And join us next month for the dialogue, the conversation. We love having it. Peace. Good night.
Bye, y'all.